caused one of the greatest basketball duos in NBA history to break up. In 2004, Shaq and Kobe had a feud that was reaching its boiling point. Kobe was getting tired of Shaq, and Shaq was getting tired of Kobe. This would come to a head when Kobe was dealing with his legal case, causing him to miss practice. One of Shaq's insults about Kobe would leak out to the public with him saying, "Everyone that need to be here is here." Kobe, after hearing about his insult, would go to Phil saying if Shaq keeps talking to the press, he's gonna start talking to the press. When Shaq was asked about Kobe's return to training, Shaq said he didn't care, Kobe just needs to pass the ball more. Kobe shortly after replied to the press saying he needs to worry about his own position. This would then lead to a back and forth which led to Kobe going on air in an interview and calling Shaq fat, selfish, and greedy. After this interview is when things really started to get tense. The practice post-Kobe interview, there was a violent altercation between Shaq and Kobe, which ended with the chemistry of the team being broken and Kobe being fined for putting their issues on wax. Fast forward to the 2004 finals, because of the absence of chemistry between Shaq and Kobe, Phil wasn't able to fully manage both of them, which ended with the Lakers losing the finals, Phil getting fired, and Shaq leaving for Miami. Kobe and Shaq staying together after 2004 has to be one of the biggest what-ifs in sports, and seeing the deterioration of the duo always makes fans wonder. Eminem throughout the years has released plenty of albums, some good, some decent, and some we're just not gonna comment on. But there's one project from Eminem's discography that was never released because of the mental state and circumstances he was in at the time. That album was King Mathers, which was scrapped in 2007 after his overdose. The final track list for the album was completely unknown, but with the tracks that were out there were tracks like Difficult, which was a song about his best friend Proof and his passing, and It's Been Real, which was supposed to close the album. It even featured earlier versions of Relapse tracks like Careful What You Wish For and Beautiful. This album was made during the time when Eminem was on his hiatus from music and was going through a very tense period of his life, and as a result of all the pain he was going through, this was going to be his 6th and final album, with him wanting to announce his retirement from music after the album was dropped. But eventually, after surviving his overdose in 2007, he would end up scrapping the project to then team up with Dr. Dre as the main producer to create Relapse in its place. So just to remind you, this is Rapper's Most Darkest Songs Part 1, Never See Me Again, by Kanye West. In 2009, Kanye, after the VMAs incident, his mother's passing, and a break-off from his 18-month engagements to his girlfriend at the time, self-exiled himself from the country to go live in Japan for a year and just make music. But in that period came one of his darkest songs, which was named Never See Me Again. This song, to many people, was mainly seen as a retirement announcement for his fans. But many theories suggested that it was something much sinister. What the theories suggested was that it was a note because of the sampling behind the track, which was said to be from the song Futari Dake no Ceremony, which was made by a Japanese artist from the 80s named Yukiko Okada, who committed suicide after finding out her crush didn't love her. Fans believed that if this song had released, Kanye would have not only retired from rap, but would have done something much worse to himself. So for those who didn't know, this is hip-hop's Darkest Songs Part 2. Rotten Sarah from Tyler, the Creator. In 2009, Tyler released his debut project, Bastard, which was a mixtape that featured different early members from Odd Future like Haji Beats, Earl Sweatshirt, and Domo Genesis. In the album, there is a song called Sarah, which was a story about Tyler asking a girl out to prom, and when she rejects him, he kidnaps, kills, and commits her body. When the cops end up arriving in the end of the song, Tyler then proceeds to shoot himself to avoid arrest. This ended up being one of his most controversial songs, but did you know that there was something much darker that ended up not being released? The song was called Rotten Sarah, which was a sequel to the original version. The song itself was about the aftermath of what happens in Sarah, with him describing how both of their dead bodies were rotting away in the basement he killed her in. The song Rotten Sarah was a leak that ended up happening in 2022 and was supposed to be on one of Tyler's unreleased project Zombie Circuits, which later got turned into Goblin. So if you were curious, what did Jay-Z do that was so bad that made Solange attack him in the infamous elevator video? Jay-Z and Beyonce were one of the most notorious power couples in the industry. Their relationship was known for being private and seemed like a solid couple. So when the video of Solange attacking Jay-Z in the elevator leaked to the public, the media went into a frenzy trying to figure out what happened. There are different versions of what happened in this incident, but the most consistent one is that Solange and Jay-Z were having an argument while leaving with Beyonce and her bodyguard from the Met Gala, which ended with Jay-Z saying something that set off Solange to attack him in the elevator. Some say that the argument was a result of a supposed affair Jay-Z had, which is what caused the entire argument in the first place. The elevator incident after the Met Gala has become an infamous moment in pop culture and Jay-Z and Beyoncé's careers, being referenced in different media outlets and TV shows. So how do you feel about the Met Gala situation, and do you ever wonder, why does Eminem hate the song Cleaning Out My Closet? In 2002, Eminem was at the peak of his fame, with The Eminem Show releasing and becoming a major success, selling 1.3 million copies its first week and becoming one of the fastest-selling rap albums of all time. In this album featured the song Cleaning Out My Closet, which was a full-on diss at his mom, Debbie Mathers. Eminem and his mom in the early 2000s had a very bad relationship, which combinated with Eminem making multiple digs at her in his music, and Debbie suing Eminem for defamation. Because of all the issues and lawsuits happening during this time, it ended with Eminem making the diss track Cleaning Out My Closet, which completely tore into Debbie, saying things like how she was a selfish, lying manipulator and would never see Haley grow up or at her funeral. This song ended up peaking at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US and number 4 in the UK. Fast forward 11 years later, after Eminem's overdose and then sobriety, he makes the song Headlights, which was him apologizing to his mom for everything he put her through. In the song, he reflects on how he misunderstood her and forgives her for all the stuff she put him through as a kid. And every time he hears the Cleaning Out My Closet song, he cringes at the song when it's played on the radio and doesn't perform it anymore. So how did you feel about Debbie and Eminem's beef? And did you ever wonder